branches are Britain and Europe that covers Europe and the Far East, places the Far East like India and stuff like that. So they channel funds through all those areas to foundations that are established. So what they actually do is investigate your jurisdiction, your jurisdictional laws,
Right.
and see if the laws fit what the platform requires for a global philanthropy. Because if there is something, let's say there is a catastrophe, a tsunami for that matter, in the St. Kitts Nevis, for example, you are on that platform, and that's how aid go. Aid goes through the CAF directly to the foundation, not to governments, private aid. So and so we sought to do that, and it allowed us to raise funding, not just in St. Kitts Nevis, but beyond the shores of St. Kitts Nevis. So we've been able to do that. Our first major rollout was street signs in Nevis. Of course, we got caught up in COVID for 2 years.
Right.
So that sort of slowed the projects. With this street sign for Nevis, and it's ongoing, we just allocated funds again for another 30, 40 signs for Nevis, street signs, because without street signs and without borders, identifiable borders, or street signs, we really don't have a country. We think that that's critical with all the tourists and everybody else, in terms of finding, in terms of emergency care, ambulance and the sort of thing, getting to the direction at nights or what have you. You need to have some sort of direction.
Well, I've seen, not to cut you off, Mr. Herbert, I've seen the street signs, and I think it's, educational course for me per se, because there were some streets that I didn't even know existed,
Yes,
so it's really good, not just for tourists, but for nationals, residents as well.
Let's assume somebody fell sick and you're in some far reach area, and you call the ambulance or you call the police or whatever. You ask where you are, at the red house and the pink house, but that becomes red at night, because it's dark, at the corner here, and you make another right here, what have you. So, it really helps in terms of quality care and quality, quality life, enhancing quality of life. Now, we moved on from there, and we've recently done ENT, ear, nose, and throat clinic on Nevis, and that's going to be ongoing all year round. Our first foray into that was in October 28th of this year, when we actually are partner with the second largest ENT clinic out of the United States, Allergy Care. And we were able to partner with them, which they have a massive outfit in the second largest in the entire 950 United States. And they are principally pretty much sponsoring and financing a lot of this. We were able to get 12 of their physicians to be registered here with the medical board here in St. Kitts Nevis, so they can practice here, flying and practice. These are the top physicians in the world in ear, nose, and throat and cancer care. And so they came in, and it's basically free service. And this is the kind of care you don't have in this area. We saw a need for it, and we were able to do it on October 28th, without announcing, without advertising or anything. It was just a test run, so that we can see the needs, and also they can work out all the kinks in terms of getting this service done, in terms of clinics. And we were just hoping to get 50 persons from the Ministry of Health in Nevis, and we ended up with 160 persons that showed up.
Wow.
Just from word of mouth, without advertising, doing PSA, public service announcements, and that sort of thing. Within the first hour, from 8 to around 9 o'clock, they were seeing 10 patients per hour. With only 3 physicians they brought in to do this test case with all the equipment, because all the equipment was mobilized already to Nevis in the hospitals, for surgery and the out care. And in terms of training up them staff, medical staff and technical people in the hospital there in Nevis, they had to do all this, and this was done as a test run. And in the first hour, four patients were referred for surgery.
Wow.
So, I don't know what the total came down to, and some of them, not just surgery, but a lot of them, what you call ongoing care,
right,
servicing and stuff like that. And it was a tremendous success. They walked in, brought also their pharmacists, resident pharmacists, and along with the team. So this visits in late January which would be many more, at least maybe 8 or 10 physicians and surgeons.
January coming.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And it would be advertised. Okay. And the people of St. Kitts, of course, it would be available to them if anyone who has acute ear, nose, or throat issues or cancer issues beyond from the neck up would be seen and would be sort of examined and whatever the follow-ups are and when necessary for corrective care. So look out for that, and
awesome.
That this is priceless work. So we're happy that we can. This is going to be ongoing 3-4 times per year, at least a week per, when it is rolled out in January, maybe April, and then August, and then the end of the year. So you can know the clinics are coming. Here in St. Kitts Nevis.
Well, I have a good feeling that the response will be even better because you noted that the first one you did, there was no advertising, it was just word of mouth. Correct. And a number of people showed up. But definitely, I wish that initiative the very best. What are some of the other initiatives that the foundation has ongoing right now or would want to roll out in the future or the near future?
Right. One of the things we're looking at critically is something in the realm of I want to say finance.
Okay.
And finance can mean things that affect employment and that sort of thing.
Right.
In terms of because we think there is an area that area again, you can't depend on government for everything. You can't depend on the private sector for everything.
Right.
And so we have something up our sleeve that I think in January is going to be released. It's being worked on right now with the attorneys here on Nevis. As a matter of fact, they just gave us the pricing in terms of how this week, they just gave us the pricing in terms of what it's going to cost to get from the legal part of it here in Nevis, incorporating and all that sort of stuff, for it to be done. Our partners are interested in doing this. Some of our partners are, overseas, and this is going to be a big deal. It's really a big deal, and we're talking about affecting a lot of people in terms of the employment sector. So in January, we're going to be doing a test run of it. I'm assured some of the folks are going to be here in January to do the test run with a few persons in terms of this new enterprise, and they go on to roll it out next year. It promises to. When I asked the question, what they think the effect would be in terms of employment, et cetera, it would be in the region of 100.
Wow.
Yeah. So this is going to be done coming January. It begin the rollout and then the test run, and then it's going to roll out into full bloom thereafter, because they like the numbers, they like the returns, how it's projected. And like I said, this is for real. Yes.
This is good. Mr. Herbert, it is 16 minutes past the hour of 11, so we'll take a break to give a shout-out to our sponsors. And when we come back, we'll continue Inside the News here on 1FM 98.9. Let's take this break, and we'll be right back.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
People make the world.
Choose your way to instant savings on Friday 9th and Saturday 10th December at the TDC Home and Building Depot. We're giving our customers the chance to pick your discount for not just 1, but 2 days with up to 40% discount in stores. This weekend, go where the best savings are. Choose your discount. Shop at everyone's favorite retail stores, the TDC Home and Building Depots. Terms and conditions apply. See stores for details.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Welcome back to Inside the News here on WinFM 98.9. I'm your host for today, Devon Cornelius. It is 19 minutes past the hour of 11 here in our studios. And for those of you who are just joining the program, we have here with us Mr. Glendale Herbert of the Nevis Community Foundation Limited. Mr. Herbert, let's continue where we left off from.
Yeah, global philanthropy can be quite a juicy thing. You know, I mean, it's a worthwhile effort. It's a worthwhile thing. You know, from the standpoint of you doing worthwhile work, good work. You know, for the people, and giving, not just from yourself, but at least channel your resources to people and affecting lives in the direct way. One of the things I'm elated about, and I neglected to say, King Miko, who is a friend of mine, you know, he's been having some issues with his throat for many, many years. And I had first introduced him to the principal of the company maybe about 8 months ago and tell him, look, this guy really needs to get back on track, and what can you do for him? So Miko went into the clinic also on October 28th. I made sure he got there.
Wow. And
he was seen, and he was given some quite optimistic news in terms of correcting his issues. I think he might be under some treatment as it is right now, but it's going to be upped in January. I mean, really, really, robustly as it relates to his case. So I'm hoping to see him back. He was really elated when he came out after the examination room that day. He smiled and high fives, and so awesome. I was really, really happy for that, because he's like an icon.
Yeah,
and
he's
been having some issues.
He is, and this is touching lives. You can tell. I mean, Miko, King Miko, being a national icon. This is definitely touching lives. And so when this initiative comes around again, be sure to let me know.
Of course.
So that we can do our part here to ensure that people are aware of this. I can only imagine, Mr. Herbert, how many people in St. Kitts and Nevis would want to, get that opportunity to meet with an ear, throat, or nose specialist, whatever the situation.
And includes cancer care also, so above the neck. So, it's going to be, the PSA is going to be on every platform, including WinFM. So people would know about it, and, we'll see what's going to happen. We expect to see hundreds and hundreds of people in that week. Yeah.
Is there anything else that you would want to share with the listening audience, as it relates to the foundation?
Well, I would like to have people to come and join the foundation, the Nevis Community Foundation. They can call me at 869-667-0124, 869-667-0124, or you can email at me at chairman, I think it's chairman, CAF.org, to think about it, chairmancaf.org. That's right. Quite easy. Right. Yeah, so.
Okay. Well, Mr. Herbert, you being, as you stated earlier, from Nevis, of course, being a member of the Nevis Community Foundation, but being from Nevis, as you know, Monday, this coming Monday, is a very big day, particularly or specifically for people on the island of Nevis. It is polling day.
Yes.
Parliament has been dissolved, so we have the Nevis Island Assembly elections. Two major political parties contesting. And, three parties contesting, two major political parties, the CCM, the NRP, and the More Restoration Movement. I was hoping to get some other people to comment on the local elections ahead of the elections. But since you are here, I'm kind of putting you on the spot. What is your take on the upcoming elections on Monday? What is your feeling as a Nevisian? And what do you think, let me say, the outcome?
Well, before I go down that track, let me make a major disclosure. I'm not speaking on the behalf of the foundation or anybody at this point.
Okay.
Just let me make that disclosure and disassociate myself. I'm speaking for me. If I speak anything politics or if I speak anything outside.
Right.
Now, it is important, yes. It has, this election in my mind has major, major consequences. It's an election that is, like I said, is a hugely consequential election as it relates to the Nevis. And why that is, we had an election in August 5th in the Federation of St. Kitts Nevis. That election, in the eyes of Nibijans, was not as consequential as it is in St. Kitts, how it was regarded.
Right.
Generally, historically speaking, the turnout for local elections in Nevis has been at least 10 points higher, percentage points higher than that of St. Kitts, federal elections.
Right.
So with that tradition in mind, historically, going back since 1984 or what have you, with that tradition in our minds, why this election is even more consequential, I think, is because of where we are caught in terms of what's going on the ground in Nevis. That is why I feel the numbers, I think, would be north of 10% in terms of turnout. I dare say somewhere between 12 and 15 is an appropriate number, I think, based where that number would land in terms of turnout. Meaning, August 5th election gave us a turnout of roughly 48% on Nevis, whereas in St. Kitts it actually tipped almost 65%. You see, so I am looking at Nevis elections tipping somewhere 63 to 65%, somewhere thereabout in the voter turnout. I'd be surprised if it's less than that.
Okay.
Why I say that, in addition to the history, why I'm saying it's going to get beyond the 10 points, is because Nevis is thrown, not just Nevis, but the globe, anywhere in the world, is thrown in the midst of what's called of inflation. But I think in Nevis in particular, or St. Kitts, but Nevis, this is particularly zoned in on Nevis, we're in a mode of hyperinflation right now, not just inflation, which is a difference. Hyperinflation pretty much denotes that in a 30-day period, prices can swing by 50%.
Right.
Up, and that's when you get to hyperinflation. And people have gone to the stores, they've seen the difference in prices, and you may go today, you may go next week, by Wednesday of next week, and if you bought a kind of beef, I just use beef, or milk for, $2, it may be $3.50. And that's a significant increase of 75 to 100%, or beyond 50%. I'm saying not even within a month, but within days or weeks. Now, that in itself creates a problem. For the populace, in terms of spending, it's frustrating. And I've always said elections, you can't rely on election in August 5th and pretty much predict what's going to happen in a future election. Election is a snapshot in time where you are. So where you are in time is a snapshot of how you're feeling and what's happening with you. And as the time changes, the electorate changes.
Right.
Now, we're in a time, like I said, in inflation, where I call it hyperinflation at this point, based on what's happening at the stores. There has not been any income increases, no income in that time. And if a guy or a woman was spending $1,000 food bill a year ago, 12 months ago, that bill is $1,800 at a minimum or more. Now your salary hasn't increased. So you're having a conundrum where you're facing the reality of spending more with less across the board. Now, regardless of who's in government, if there's a downswing, such as in a case like that, or a recession or a hyperinflation, they deal with it. People don't really care about much more than who is the stewards of government. You see what I'm saying? Even if it's a global condition. And this is caused, of course, by global conditions. The war in, what's that? The war that's going on right now.
Ukraine.
Yes, in Ukraine, in terms of supplies of wheat and all that sort of thing. And so much derivatives come from wheat, from cereals all the way through. Yes. Shortages of those and oil. And then prior to that, you were having issues with with supply chain in terms from COVID, meaning goods moving. You can formerly we used to order car from Japan around here, and you would get it maybe six weeks, maybe 2 months less, between 6 and 2 months. Now it's 6 months now. Yeah. To get that out of Japan, the supply chain has been clogged up, and that creates employment because there's a shortage of goods, and X amount of dollars chasing few goods drives prices up. All right, no. And there's another phenomenon to that. Also all the giveaways that was done through COVID a lot of cash that government threw out there. People were, had cash on hand and they burn through cash. And the more cash you throw out, it's a limited amount to go to drive things up. And that's what's happening. As a result, no, but governments find themselves in that. No, the question is for the electorate, as they're asking, they may be asking those who are in power, what have you done to alleviate that pain? And what levers you have in government that you could have used to help alleviate the pain? Because remember, income's not moving. And what is happening is frightening to a lot of people. As prices spike and continue to spike upwards, what tends to happen, people move to credit cards to make up the shortfalls. And when you maxed out your credit card, you move to your savings. And then if this continues on, because unabated, if this continues on, everybody begins to get poor. And that's just the reality.
That is, yeah.
You see? And then this is what the electorate is facing. So like I said, elections are a snapshot in time. And this is the times, if the country is doing robustly well because of global conditions and everybody is doing well, the government at the day gets all the credit. That's nothing. Yeah, this is just the reality. Now, there's another reality that I see. And here is the other reality. And people are saying people are intractable in terms of how people look. But you see, you look at politics, people are locked into corners, let's say, political corners, green and versus blue. But that is not necessarily the case at all times. There are things that come around that moves people in different directions. And I'll tell you, in Nevis, there are a number of high schools, and they produce roughly maybe 200 students per year that graduate and comes out of school.
Just Thursday, they had a graduation for Gingerland Secondary, and then about 2-3 weeks ago, it was the Sixth Form College and the Charleston Secondary School. So about 200 people have left.
And that has been going, okay, so those who have been in charge and the stewards of power, right, for the last 5 years, those kids who come out of school, you run the numbers for 5 years, that's 1,000 students. I mean, we know the public service is bursting at the seams, cannot take on anybody else. We know Four Seasons cannot take on anybody else permanently. I mean, in real marginable serious numbers.
Just a season.
Or the private sector.
Right.
Unless you've widened the playing field, which is basically creating opportunities in the way of private sector expansion to absorb these people coming to school and we have about a 98% literacy rate in the country. So these people are educated people. And unless you can, I mean, who ain't gone off to school, university, on scholarships? And who hasn't gotten a job at home? And I would pretty much hazard a guess, I'd hazard a guess and say maybe 30% has been absorbed in either one of those areas. Right? So if 30% is absorbed, it's 700, you're talking 700 students.
Right.
Might be sitting, or even those 700 students, their skills or their educational level has whatever they got to do, if they get anything to do at all, is not commensurate or is not on the level of the educational level. So there's a bit, you understand, embedded in that can be a bit of frustration. No, parents are parents, and those who have sitting at home, mothers are mothers. They come home, they have to look at these kids in the eyes every day. So, I mean, these are just the realities. And each of these kids are over 18. Each of those kids have a mother over, and these are all potential voters, and they have a father, and they have everything. So what I'm trying to get across to, the reason now, if you look, I've been looking, and I've been pretty much looking at what's called metadata. That is the presence of people on social media during campaigns for the last, let's say, 10 days or so. And what you have been seeing for the last 10 days is, to me, is a phenomenon. Is a phenomenon, rather. I'll say why I'm saying this. For the last 10 days, right, you track YouTube, you track Facebook platforms. For the political meetings, which starts roughly around 8 p.m. through 10:30 p.m., you're tracking them every 45 minutes or every hour, every half hour. what you've been seeing in Nevis, in particular, I've been seeing a sort of an interest towards the NRP that I have not ever seen. And this is just bearing out in terms of the raw numbers. For example, it's every night consistently when you look at the both parties campaign and you look at the Facebook numbers, and you watch, you're tracking them as they go along every half hour, and you're tracking the YouTube as they go along, and CCM consistently would beat NRP on YouTube. NRP consistently beats CCM on Facebook. But when you add both numbers at the moment in time, let's say 10:30 or 8:30, and you're looking at both numbers simultaneously, YouTube and Facebook numbers, and you add the CCM tally and you add the NRP tally, NRP has consistently been beating CCM across the board on all the platforms. In combined, sorry. And that is a phenomenon I've never seen. I've never seen that in politics because NRP, CCM has always been looked at as sexy. They had a more sexy appeal. The presentation has always been better.
Yes.
Right? And, NRP was like a yesteryear party. And that's just the reality. But this time around, I'm seeing the traction, like last night was the lowest I've seen on all the platforms that NRP led by. And it was maybe 40. The night before was 160. The night before, on all the platforms combined. And this is a snapshot in every half an hour, thereabout, right? Consistently. And the only time in 10 days that I have seen the other CCM, rather, led was Wednesday night. And when they did, the CCM did it from the Andy Mark show, which has a natural embedded audience. Okay. But the lead was about 30 viewers. So, it's quite telling too. What I'm trying to get across is where voter interest is going. You understand me? Where people are saying, okay, they're interested in listening. They're interested in, it doesn't translate to votes, And let me underscore this. It does not translate to any votes.
Because
it's interest, voter interest. And I'll say this, if I am listening to Tom, and and there is a competition between Tom and Joe, but I'm more listening to Tom. At the day when I have to make a decision, when I reflect or at a reflex action, which is an involuntary action, I would tend to go with what Tom's saying. It's like advertising. Right. Advertising is repetitive. It's something, Coca-Cola or whatever, you just repeat. That's why they repeat in cycles until it's embedded in your consciousness. So if I ask a guy, let's say from St. Nevis, go buy me a can of milk. What kind of milk he thinks he interpret that to be? Tell me. Carnation. If I tell him to go buy some toothpaste, what are you going to buy?
Colgate.
You understand? Repetitive. You understand, right?
Yes.
So if you're listening, you get, it's consciousness, it's people, patterns, it's habits. You see? It's what your knee-jerk reaction without even thinking. So if you
popularity.
That's the point I'm trying to get across. That is why the metadata and what it's telling you is not, I'm telling you that's what's going to happen. But it's inference.
Yes.
Yes. And we don't have, absent of scientific polling, right? This is what I am seeing. No, not that, because people are giving NRP a second look, or the tendency is more people are driven to their, whether it's message or maybe it's a sign of the times or whatever the case is, they're looking for alternatives. Whatever that is, doesn't mean there's necessitate a victory. They have to close their deal. But I am just merely saying what is right now, and those people who are looking, it can be as far as Canada, they can be as far as St. Thomas, they can be as far as St. Kitts, they can be as far all over Nevis. But the point is, we get our voters from all over the diaspora.
That, yes.
So, now, there are some factors that we can engage. A, the overseas vote, in terms of flying in and... But, you don't know. But I've never seen the other party, the NRP party, that competitive. I've never seen it.
You have listed some very interesting factors, Mr. Herbert, and I've listened to every single one of them, and I think they are rather interesting. I think for the most part, people are of that view as well. In terms of the factors that you have listed, and you would say that they would play an integral role in the outcome on Monday, based on what you've seen, the challenges with the cost of living and the information that you're seeing coming from Meta, from social media, that is, you would say, while we understand that at the end of the day it is down to the actual vote, you would use those factors as a way to predict. Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to say, right, most elections are won on pocketbook issues. And not just pocketbook. Elections are not a thing of the past. Election is about the future. It's not about the past. And it's about the way you are in the future. So, like I said, in snapshot, a moment in time where you are. I've seen so many elections where a guy, let's say, somebody wins a war, and walked into election within 45 days and lose the election. This is a good example. In 1992, George Bush against Bill Clinton, right? He just won the Desert Storm War. Hero, Colin Powell, prosecuted that war as a general, right? This war ended in September. I forgot what date, 18th or whatever date it was. He went into a general election in November and lost the election. A hero. So I've seen, you understand, because a recession sat in at that point. I remember him going into the stores, and they had videos of George Bush going into the supermarket and didn't know what the prices are, and stuff like that. And they portrayed him as being detached. So I'm just saying to you, nobody is stuck into their positions. People love their children. They love things bigger than politics and parties. And that is why people move in different directions. You can never tell how a person is going to react.
What I see happening, Mr. Herbert, is in talking to people, there are a number of people who have said that, for me, it is not about being loyal to one party. Doesn't matter who that party is. I like when people vote on the issues. I like when people vote on reality. I like that. But before you continue, right? Now, some would ask the question, or I would ask the question, based on the results of past elections. So we're going back as far as 2013, where the CCM took office. So you have 2013, 2017, 2020, and 2022. What would be your response or your take based on the results that came out of those elections? In 2013, it was not a big margin, but the CCM took office. In 2017, it was 4-1, I believe, 4-1. 2023, 2022, 3 as well. What is your take on that?
Well, listen, 2013, I don't think none of the issues in 2013 or 2015 is when Labour lost in the federal.
I forgot 2015.
Yes, and 2017, and I'm running to the issues in my head. The big issues in Nevis now. 2017 weren't really any big issues in 2017. That was a relatively easy election, to be won, which was won by the CCM. 2020 election, no big real issues that jumped out. It was just the normal ebb and flow and the normal campaigning. What the difference is in this election is the economic squeeze. That's a massive issue to deal with, to wrap your hand around. And it's out of the hands of the governing party. It's nothing. It is pretty. That's something that dropped in the governing party's lap. And the question really that's being prosecuted is, have they done enough to ease that pain? Because there hasn't been any issue this size, or that's bear downs on people. Because you see, in times when you have elections, Mr. Cornelius, when you have elections and you don't have any major economic issues to deal with, what people can know, it's easy to be distracted. It's easy to get in the nuances and the dance and the party and you understand? Mm-hmm. But when it's more consequential, and that's why I'm saying it's a consequential election, because it is a big issue to deal with in terms of employment, in terms of where the direction of the country is going to pivot, because this is not going to be something that's going to be with us for the short term. It's going to be with us for the near to long term, the inflation issue. I don't see globally they're winding out to this for the next 12 to 18 months. I just don't see it based on what I've seen and I've gleaned and read. I just don't see how that happens. Because all central banks in the United States are raising rates continually. And as a consequence of that, money is being pulled out and bought out of the economies and taken out of the economies. And the growth take place with credit. If you issue credit, which is low interest loans and what have you, make money available, low interest, that is where growth take place in the markets. Mm-hmm. And that is not going on anytime soon, because the hammer of inflation that hovers over everybody's head is the damaging factor for most countries and most societies, global societies. Mm-hmm. That's going to go on for a while. Mm-hmm. And getting the hand around that. And, I don't want to get too deep into the economic issues in the sense of what are the troubling issues for big central banks like the Fed, the United States Federal Bank and the European Central Bank and what have you. But one of the biggest issues is the fiat currency, and how to pull back that. And, so I don't see getting around that anytime soon. Mm-hmm. The issue is now what governments, let's say micro governments such as us then, can do to alleviate distress. Mm-hmm. And you're held responsible for that. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that is what this is centered around, this whole entire election as far as I'm concerned.
Mm-hmm. It's 11:45. We'll take a break to give a shout out to our sponsors. When we come back, we will take some calls. The phone lines will be open, so you can call us at 466-0989, 662-0989, or 762-0989. Let's take this break, and we'll be right back.
Found the sound, 98.9.
It's that time again. TDC Insurance is offering awesome deals in its holiday extravaganza. Buying a new car? Get up to 60% off your motor insurance, free windshield cover, 0% interest-free, cashback, and so much more. Buying a house? Save up to 30% on home insurance and additional discounts if you pair with your new car. It's crazy this holiday season at TDC Insurance with our TDC Insurance Holiday Extravaganza. Terms and conditions apply.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects or sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
People make the world go
Welcome back to Inside the News here on WinFM 98.9. Time is leaving us. We have about 10 minutes left before we wrap up the program for today. It is 11:50 and you're listening to Inside the News. I'm your host, Yvonne Cornelius, Mr. Glendale Herbert. We're on the topic of the Nevis local elections on Monday. And the expectations are really high. Before you continue, Mr. Herbert, we actually have a caller on the line, so let us get this caller in. Caller, good morning. You are on the air.
Good morning to everybody. Yes, greetings in Jesus' name, the only Savior of sinners from heaven and hell. I mean, from hell and from their sins, and the second person of the eternal Trinity. He who saved people from hell and from their sins. Now, first of all of these problems that are plaguing us today, there's one simple root source of them all that causes them all, and that is our disobedience to the Bible as a people, as a federation. And the only solution is for us to repent and to get in obedience to the Bible. There is where the answers are. There is where all the solutions are to all of these problems we are facing, economically, politically, socially, religiously, you name them all. Now, to get more specific, first of all, like I said, heart need changing to getting right with Jesus Christ in obedience to his word. And with that, as a result of that, there are certain economic stuff that the Bible recommends. Not just recommends, it instructs us to have and commands us to have. And for example, when we don't implement the policies of the Bible, that is what causes higher unemployment. And such policies that we have that go against the Bible are such things that causes unemployment, are such things as having government minimum wage laws that contributes to the unemployment.
All right.
Employers matching Social Security contribution that they make, where they have to match the contributions that they pay for the employees. That contributes to unemployment. You have high taxes. The higher your taxes are, the more your unemployment going to also be. The lower your taxes are, the lower your unemployment is going to be. And we need such thing as a duty report at minimum.
All right. Well, caller, thank you for your contribution. We're going to take some more calls, all right? Thank you so much for your contribution. The phone lines are open, and we're taking your calls at 466-0989, 662-0989, or 762-0989. Mr. Herbert, you can continue just before I cut you off for the caller. Continue.
Yeah, another phenomenon that's happening. I've often said to people, whichever party has the energy wins the election. Energy is not just about money. Mm-hmm. Elections are won based on energy, enthusiasm. And it's infectious, because if you are able to transmit that in the presentation and your crowd, and the level of enthusiasm, that is quite infectious, and people are followers. Mm-hmm. But people, they have a herd mentality,
right?
You understand? And they want to be they want to be with winners, or caught up with perceived winners. Mm-hmm. And from what I've gleaned, a lot of the enthusiasm right now, if you look at the crowds, because I've visited both sides, parties. I mean, look at during campaigning, live campaigning, and the NRP at this point seems to have a tremendous amount of enthusiasm at their meetings and that sort of thing, and creating interest. Mm-hmm. So again, it doesn't translate into anything yet. Mm-hmm. You understand? But
just some
energy
to consider.
Yes. I mean, you can look at any major campaign. I mean, let's take, for example, if you looked at the last campaign in August 5th, who had the energy? Who had the social presence in the last maybe 8-10 days on social media, on all platforms? You see, the result of that was record numbers in terms of 14,000 votes for the Labour Party. It doesn't mean that it will translate. Right. But if you look at these things, all of these indices, if you want to call them that, all right, to me, they're speaking towards a singular, sort of direction. Yes.
Very interesting observation that you've made there regarding the presence, the hype, the energy, and when you look at that point that you've made, you find that people gravitate to where, as we would say, the action is.
Correct.
If you look at what took place throughout the federal campaign, the parties here on St. Kitts, the party in power now, that is the Labour Party, based on what I saw, they were consistent with their public presence. They were consistent in hitting issues. They were consistent in a number of areas.
And the people were silent. If you noticed, you couldn't predict that the Labour Party would have won that large. No one could have predicted that.
No, I
you understand? The people were silent. When the people are that silent, it's scary. So I don't know, but it's an interesting 2 more days from now that we are going to be at the front
Less
row.
than 2 more days.
at the front row, at the front row of observing change, whatever it is. To me, it's a day in which careers will be ended, and careers will begin.
Yes.
Either or, whether you're a politician just coming in and trying to get in, your career may be ended in there, or whether you're in office, your career will be in.
Yes.
So it's going to be beginnings one way or the other.
I am looking at the elections, Mr. Herbert, and I can tell you that I think both parties understand that this one is really critical.
Yes.
For both NRP and CCM. Stick up in, we have a caller on the line. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Morning, Mr. Cornelius. How are you?
I'm doing good, thanks. And yourself?
I'm good. I haven't heard the voice in a long while. On a Saturday. I've been doing what happened to you.
Yes, I was off for a while, but I'm back.
All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed your break.
Thank you.
Well, you know that elections are my favorite pastime. And I believe, and I see you have Mr. Herbert with you from over in Nevis from One Radio.
Yes.
Right. And let me say morning to him as well. Morning, Mr. Herbert. I enjoy listening to you. You're a very probing journalist. I want to say that the Nevis election, I did not call the St. Kitts election right. But I am certain that this time around I will call this Nevis election right. And for 2 reasons. One, if you look at the historical numbers of how the pattern of voting in Nevis has been, with the exception of what happened in St. Paul the other day when system regained it again through Spencer Brand, the seats have voted a particular way. So the St. George seat, Gingerland has always gone for the CCM, and we expect St. Thomas has always gone for the NRP. The seat, Mr. Brantley, the Premier, has made that seat a little bit more firmer than before, and that's the seat in St. John. Right? And so, if I should predict anything, then I would expect that the CCM would form government. I cannot say safely how the... Yes, sir?
Yeah, I'm not hearing you clearly. There's a lot of noise in the background.
Sorry about that. Let me get out of the noise. I cannot say safely as to what the number would be. But I can tell you that at the end of the day, I believe the system will form government again. Because if you look at the uphill task, and you just had an election at the federal level in just less than 3 to 4 months. And so the CCM voters, I believe, would be more motivated to vote. Yeah? And so we would have to take those factors into consideration. I am going to expect some surprises in St. Thomas's. Whether the margin is won narrowly by the NRP or the system is able to overturn that in St. Thomas's, because there's a voting block that no one has ever considered, and that's the non-national voting block in St. Thomas's. Whereas in St. Kitts, you have the Spanish living in the cities. You find a lot of the non-nationals living in the rural areas of Nevis.
All right.
And so that is a voting block that I believe none of the parties have really been able to tap into. And wherever those non-national voters go will make a significant difference.
All right.
This election, this election, in my opinion, goes through St. James. This election goes through St. James. St. James is the fulcrum, in my opinion, for this election.
That will decide who forms government.
Decides, in my opinion, what's going to happen. St. James. However that swings is going to determine the election. Formerly, they used to say St. John's, but it's St. James.
It's St. James.
It is St. James.
I agree with you.
So, I mean, no one can call it. You can just use the money factor. You can just use the enthusiasm factor, the voter interest factor to sort of gauge where we are pre-election. The only real poll we can have that can give us an exact outcome, or at least predict an exact, is exit polls on the day, exit polling. We don't have that on the day, which is Monday. But prior to Monday, we have three things that you can point to, which I did say: finance, energy, and the other one I mentioned is
I lost it as well.
sorry, energy, enthusiasm, finance, and whatever the third one was. But anyway, the point is, I'm saying to you, in terms of predicting the outcomes, energy and viewership and stuff like that. That's the third one. So, none of us knows, but I would say St. James is the fulcrum. St. James would tell us early where this election is going. Pretty much early. The numbers in St. James will give you an idea where this is going to land.
And I think early in the night you can expect who's going to form the government, because I don't know how they're going to do the counting this time around. But in the past, the constituents, I think they usually begin with the smallest constituency. And so on the night of the election, you can expect that the first constituency to be called would be St. George, which is Gingerland.
That's going to be a tight race. I predict, listen, this whole race is going to be tightened. The runaway you normally see in St. George's is not going to happen. I do not think it's going to happen this time around. The gentleman Rowan Isles would up his numbers. He's not going to. I don't know if he would win. I don't know if he can. At least what you call it, get over that mountain.
Right.
But his numbers are going to be up. Last election in August, his numbers was 100% across the board, pretty much close to 100% across the board on NRP numbers prior.
Yeah. His numbers were better than people who are from the constituency.
Yes, who ran prior to him. And he was getting 100% on every box just about. Sometimes he was over excelling 100%. So I'm saying, and he's going to go way beyond that this time around. No, but the margin is so wide still.
It is. So as I was saying, not to cut you off, on the night of the election, not sure how they are going to do the count this time around. But the first box that usually calls, or the first constituency, is Nevis 3 St. George. That's Gingerland.
Correct.
Then you come down to Charlestown. That's Nevis 1. Then you either Nevis 1 or Nevis 5. So it'll be Gingerland, Nevis 5, which is St. Thomas's, Nevis 1, that's Charlestown, then over to St. James. And so you have the CCM in it is expected that would be the outcome. Then the St. Thomas's, it is expected that would be for the NRP. The St. Paul's right now between the NRP and the CCM there.
Yes.
And so
they're going to be a little dicey, but it's going to be interesting.
And then St. James, as you said, in the past,
that's the fulcrum.
That's the fulcrum.
That is the fulcrum.
That
is where the injection is. Yes.
But I think it's going to be St. James this time around.
Yes. That's where the emphasis is going to be. I recognize that by both parties. Let's don't pretend as if, the horses are not out the gates. We know that. That's where it's going to come down to.
And the results coming out of the federal elections, not pretty sure. I think people need to pay closer attention to the numbers.
The numbers out of the federal election, it threw them out. Means nothing. It's like I said, elections are a snapshot in time, where you are in your life, what's happening in your country at the moment. What wins you today may not win you tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? The influences, the influence, the things that are influencing human being patterns of behavior are different now, as opposed to August 5th. August 5th, what was influencing people was a destabilized government and all that sort of thing. You understand? Instability. This time, what's influencing people's actions and people's patterns of behavior would be pocketbook. Bottom line.
Mr. Herbert, we are actually out of time. It is 5 minutes past the 12 o'clock hour, and so we're going to have to end this conversation. It was a pleasure having you here. Very interesting factors that you have put forth today. It is left to be seen what is going to take place come Monday. Nivisions head to the polls on Monday, December 12th, to elect new representatives for the Nevis Island Assembly, who ultimately would form a new Nevis Island administration. We'll take this break now for the headline news, and when we come back, we'll continue Inside the News here on WinFM 98.9.
You found the sound. 98.9. Win FM.
We now bring you the headline news. The headline news is brought to you by Caribbean Alliance, The Grange, KDP Enterprises, Carib Brewery, and the ICDF Taiwan Technical Mission. Think before you bin it. There can be some use in it. The Nevis Solid Waste Management Authority, in collaboration with Taiwan ICDF Technical Mission and the Department of Environment, presents Let's Recycle. We're encouraging all residential homes, commercial businesses, and schools to bring along your plastic bottles, metal cans, and aluminum cans, ready for an opportunity to win big. From 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the following locations: in Nevis, every second and fourth Friday of each month at Delta Petroleum, ex-Petrol in Camps, Big Six in Gingerland, and the Old Artisan Village in Charlestown. In St. Kitts, every second and fourth Tuesday at the Connery Roundabout, every first and third Tuesday at Buckley's parking lot in front of Best Buy, and the last Saturday of each month in Deep Bay. But wait, that's not all. 1 pound equals 1 point. So bring your recyclables and build up your points for a chance to win stainless steel thermal bottles, flatware, and much more. To learn more about the recycling project, do visit our Facebook page at Let's Recycle in St. Kitts and Nevis, or contact us at 465-2372. The choice is yours. Save it or waste it. You are the difference. So think smart. Take PAT, reduce, reuse, recycle.
Shipping your cargo shouldn't be a hassle. It can be as easy as a single call to Amerijet International, your worldwide cargo transportation solution. We provide all the services you need to ship your goods anywhere in the world, whether your shipment is fresh, frozen, large or small, alive or hazardous. You can count on Amerijet to deliver it safe and sound. Amerijet International, by land, sea or air, we get it there. For more information, visit us online at www.amerijet.com or call us at KDP Enterprises at 466-9595.
Tis the season to save with Delayed Wellman and Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Purchasing a new car this Christmas? Save up to 65% off. Yes, that's 65% off your motor insurance premiums. Switch and save.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built, non-governmental healthcare organization on St. Kitts? It's situated at Otley's, 7 miles east of Basseterre in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodations to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020. Fax 466-8221 or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
That was the WinFM Headline News. The Headline News is brought to you by Caribbean Alliance, The Grange, KDP Enterprises, Carib Brewery, and the ICDF Taiwan Technical Mission.
With over a century of perfection behind the Mackeson name, a smooth blend with perfect balance and richness, it's no wonder Mackeson Triple Stout has a legacy of perfection. Enjoyed the world over. Introducing our new look with the same great taste. Mackeson. All hail the king.
Please drink responsibly.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built, non-governmental healthcare organization on St. Kitts? It's situated at Otley's, 7 miles east of Basseterre in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodations to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and
With the WIN Headline News, I am Kevon Brown. Making the headlines, first CBI dividends to be paid on December 15th. Pensioners, one of first groups to receive payment. Princess Nivea cops Sugar Mass 51 Junior Calypso crown. Canada issues travel warning to Jamaica following state of emergency issued in light of increased violence there. President Xi Jinping told Gulf Arab leaders that China would work to buy oil and gas in yuan, a move that would support Beijing's goal to establish its currency internationally and weaken the US dollar's grip on world trade. Now, the details. Following the announcement from the Prime Minister's office that citizens and residents of the Federation are set to receive dividends from the Citizenship by Investment program, the Social Security Board sent out a release with more information on how individuals apply for the dividends. The statement from the statutory body stated that the first batch of payments would be made by Thursday, December 15th, 2022. The first group include Social Security and government pensioners, private and public corporations with whom Social Security have verified banking information, as their information has been provided by their respective employers or already verified by Social Security. Individuals that do not fit the first group are asked to apply for the dividend online at socialsecurity.kn/CBI. Submissions must be accompanied by a valid Social Security card and a proof of accurate banking details that could be verified through an electronic fund transfer form found on Social Security's websites in the Forms category. In-person registration may be completed at the Social Security offices in Basseterre and Penny's Estate, Nevis. Persons are encouraged to have a valid passport or birth certificate where a Social Security card is unavailable. For more information, contact the Social Security Board at 465-2535 or 469-5245. Or ask questions via WhatsApp at 662-8479 or 667-2535. With the first batch of payments expected on December 15th, people still need to learn what to expect from the dividend payment and how much this will cost the government. More on this as information becomes available. 6 junior Calypsonians faced off in competition on Friday night, December 9th, 2022 at the Berkeley Memorial, the circus in the heart of Bastille. The St. Kitts Nevis Junior Calypso Monarch competition only featured young competitors from Nevis, 4 males and 2 females. Of them were 2 pairs of siblings. At the end of the competition, Shante Princess Nivea Hendrickson copped the SKN Junior Calypso Monarch title with 227 points. Princess Nivea has created history by becoming the first female junior Calypsonian who captured multiple crowns within the same year. The 2022 Nevis Culturama Festival Junior Calypso Monarch and the 2022 St. Kitts Nevis National Carnival Junior Calypso Monarch titles. The 16-year-old has been performing in the Junior Calypso competitions since age 9. First runner-up was awarded to Teron Invincible Webb, the former SKN National Carnival Junior Calypso Monarch High School category. He scored 221 points. Invincible's Junior Calypso experience spans 10 years, where he has won 8 titles, 5 consecutive crowns in the National Carnival Junior Calypso competition, and 3 consecutive crowns in the Nevis Culturama Junior Calypso contest. Invincible made his final appearance in the 2022 Carnival Junior Calypso competition and will transition to the Senior Kaiso division in the next festival season. Second runner-up with 212 points was Dequan Hendrickson, who carries the stage name Dequan. The 13-year-old had his first competitive Calypso experience in 2019, where he placed second runner-up. The other junior Calypsonians were Quincy Isaac, Mighty QJ, Alasia Hendrickson, Princess Callie, Marquez Washington, Mighty J, who also had his first junior category performance on Friday night, December 9th, 2022. The Junior Calypso competition has been a marquee event on the St. Kitts Nevis National Carnival calendar since 1973 and has paved a successful path for Calypsonians such as DeKing Sweeney, who adopted the competition for the next 3 years, beginning with Sugar Mask 51. The awards included DeKing Sweeney Youth Calypso Monarch trophies and a cash award of EC $1,973, symbolizing the first year the competition was officially hosted. As such, the winner received $1,000, first runner-up received $500, and second runner-up received EC $423. In regional news, Canada issues travel warning to Jamaica following state of emergency issued in light of increased violence there. That report and more from Carib Update.
Dominica's Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit has met in Roseau with one of the independent candidates who won a seat in Parliament, fulfilling commitment to hold meetings with all opposition candidates. Skerrit met with Anthony Charles, who won the Marigot seat at his office early Friday in the presence of several of his ministers and other officials. Charles was one of 2 independents who were victorious following Tuesday's vote. The other was Jesma Paul in Salisbury. Prime Minister Skerrit said they held what he called cordial discussions with Charles on Friday about his development plans for Marigot. The Dominican leader said even though his party had seriously contested all 21 seats, having opposition MPs in Parliament is a good thing.
You know, objectively speaking and seriously speaking, it is not bad for Dominica. I think it's a good thing that we can have opposition people in the Parliament and to be able to bring a different side and to question and to provide oversight to the government. So I welcome them and whatever guidance, whatever support that they will need, and this is what I'll offer to them, you know, because it doesn't have to be contentious, because they're going to need me to help in advancing some of the projects and programs in the constituency, which we will engage them on.
Skerrit said his hope is to deepen the engagement with the opposition election officials.
And a new chapter in engagement and camaraderie. I would like to be able to bring these opposition members to CARICOM meeting with me as part of our delegation, and to OECS meeting part of our delegation, so that they can have an appreciation for the regional issues. We're going to the United Nations the General Assembly, they could form part of our delegation. So this is the kind of engagement I would like to have.
Skerritt said his move at engagement is a continuation of a process he has begun in recent years.
The process of national engagement. During the campaign, I met with unions. I met with representatives of professional bodies, the nurses, the police. I met with the private sector entities and to share with them my perspectives on what I determined to be the national reset.
The Caribbean Community Election Observation Mission has said the results of Dominica's general elections were an accurate reflection of the collective intention of the voters. In a preliminary statement, the CEOM's Chief of Mission, Fern Narcisse Scope, who is Trinidad and Tobago's Chief Elections Officer, noted that voter turnout was low. She stated that CEOM hopes Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerritt will continue and build on the efforts to date to secure electoral reform for future elections in Dominica. Still in Dominica, a former MP and a one-time deputy leader of the United Workers' Party has suggested that a new party might be needed there, while hinting that the UWP might have fallen short. Joshua Francis tells Car Public News that he has been already having talks with other people about a new party. Francis said he thinks a new movement is necessary. He said the UWP has not been able to expand its base. The government of Canada has issued a travel advisory warning its citizens to exercise a high degree of caution in Jamaica due to the high level of violent crimes. The advisory was issued despite the widespread states of emergency declared by Prime Minister Andrew Holness to curtail the surge in gang violence and murders. According to the Government of Canada's travel advice and advisory notices, travelers entering Jamaica should exercise a high degree of caution due to a high level of violent crimes. It advised its citizens that a state of emergency was declared in several parishes until December 19.
We now bring you these international reports.
Hailing what he called a new era in ties with the Arab world, Chinese President Xi Jinping signed a series of strategic deals with Saudi Arabia on Thursday. The leader from China, the world's biggest energy consumer, received a lavish welcome from the oil-rich nation. Xi's car was escorted to the king's palace by members of the Saudi Royal Guard riding Arabian horses and carrying Chinese and Saudi flags. Xi also met with Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, the de facto ruler of Saudi Arabia. The two stepped into a pavilion as a military band played the country's national anthems. The display stood in stark contrast to the low-key welcome extended to U.S. President Joe Biden in July. Ties between the U.S. and Saudi Arabia have been strained by the kingdom's energy policy and the 2018 murder of U.S.-based Washington Post journalist Jamal Khashoggi, which overshadowed the awkward July visit. On Thursday, King Salman signed a comprehensive strategic partnership agreement with Xi that, according to state media, included 34 deals for investment. One of the deals included Chinese tech giant Huawei, involving cloud computing and building high-tech complexes in Saudi cities. The agreement was struck despite U.S. security concerns over using the Chinese firm's technology amid Huawei's growing foray into the Gulf region. Saudi Arabia and other Gulf states have said that they would not choose sides between global powers and were diversifying partners to serve national economic and security interests.
President Xi Jinping told Gulf Arab leaders that China would work to buy oil and gas in yuan, a move that would support Beijing's goal to establish its currency internationally and weaken the U.S. dollar's grip on world trade.
China has a vast consumer market, complete industrial infrastructure, whereas the Gulf Arab countries have an abundance of energy resources. Economic diversification is in the ascendant. The two sides are natural partners.
双方是天然的合作伙伴。中国将继续从海合会国家持续大量进口原油。
China will continue to import large quantities of oil from Gulf Arab countries and expand imports of liquefied natural gas, strengthen cooperation in upstream oil and gas development, engineering service, storage, transportation, and refining. China will also make full use of the Shanghai Petroleum and National Gas Exchange as a platform to carry out yuan settlement of oil and gas trade.
开展油气贸易人民币结算。
Pro-democracy Hong Kong media tycoon Jimmy Lai was sentenced on Saturday to 5 years and 9 months in prison for fraud. Lai, one of Hong Kong's most prominent China critics, was convicted of violating a lease contract for the headquarters of a liberal newspaper he used to run. He's been behind bars since December 2020 for unlawful assemblies and also faces sedition and national security charges. The 75-year-old was found guilty of 2 counts of fraud for concealing the operations of a private consultancy firm at the headquarters of his newspaper Apple Daily, which shut down in June 2021 after a police raid. Prosecutors said the newspaper's lease conditions on a plot of government land specified the premises could only be used for printing and publishing newspapers and magazines. In handing down the sentence, the judge said Lai's prosecution, quote, wasn't equivalent to an attack on press freedom. Another defendant, Wong Wai Kung, an executive who worked for Lai, was jailed for 21 months for fraud. Western governments, including the United States, have expressed concern about Lai's plight. They've condemned what they call a broader deterioration in protection for human rights and fundamental freedoms under the Beijing-imposed national security law.
Wall Street ended lower on Friday as investors assessed more data on inflation and awaited a 50 basis point rate hike by the Federal Reserve next week. The Dow shed 0.9%, while the S&P and Nasdaq each lost nearly 0.75%. U.S. producer prices rose slightly more than expected in November amid a jump in the costs of services, but the trend is moderating, with annual inflation posting its smallest increase in 1.5 years. Paul Kim is CEO and co-founder of Simplify ETFs.
I think at this point, inflation is not some scary outlier. We have a fairly good grasp of the fact that it's hot. It's been running hot. It's still likely to run hot for a while, but that some of the biggest drivers that made it run hot is starting to slow down and cool down. So I think the sort of fear factor is gone, and you see that in the levels of volatility coming in and just the activity and volumes in the market coming down.
Consumer prices data for November, due Tuesday, will provide fresh clues on the central bank's monetary tightening plans, which it will announce at its policy meeting next week. As for individual movers, Lululemon Athletica tumbled almost 13% after the Canadian athletic apparel maker forecast lower than expected holiday quarter revenue and profit. Netflix gained 3.1% after Wells Fargo upgraded the video streaming giant to overweight from equal weight. And Boeing climbed 0.3% after Reuters reported the plane maker plans to announce a deal with United Airlines for orders of the 787 Dreamliner next week. Wall Street's main indexes have fallen this week after logging 2 straight weekly gains. Weighing heavily on investors are fears of a potential recession next year due to extended central bank rate hikes.
You were listening to the WinFM Headline News on 98.9. Our top stories were: first, CBI dividends to be paid on December 15th. Pensioners, one of first groups to receive payment. Princess Nivea cops Sugar Mass 51 Junior Calypso crown. Canada issues travel warning to Jamaica following state of emergency issued in light of increased violence there. President Xi Jinping told Gulf Arab leaders that China would work to buy oil and gas in yuan, a move that would support Beijing's goal to establish its currency internationally and weaken the U.S. dollar's grip on world trade. Thank you for listening.
That was was the Win FM Headline News. The Headline News is brought to you by Caribbean Alliance, The Grange, KDP Enterprises, Carib Brewery, and the ICDF Taiwan Technical Mission.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib. It's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built, non-governmental healthcare organization on St. Kitts? It's situated at Otley's, 7 miles east of Basseterre in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodations to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020. Fax 466-8221 or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
You have the keys to your new car this Christmas? Now it's time to get it insured. Visit DeLean Baldwin, agents for Caribbean Alliance Insurance, to save up to 65% off your motor insurance premium. All new clients are eligible for major discounts. Plus, there's lots of sweet prizes to be won. Switch and save and get in on the action. Visit us today in St. Kitts or Nevis, or give us a call at 465-2631 or 469-5303. Promotion ends December 31st and all quotes are valid until January 31st. Drive secure this Christmas with Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Terms and conditions apply.
Shipping your cargo shouldn't be a hassle. It can be as easy as a single call to Amerijet International, your worldwide cargo transportation solution. We provide all the services you need to ship your goods anywhere in the world, whether your shipment is fresh, frozen, large or small, alive or hazardous. You can count on Amerijet to deliver it safe and sound. Amerijet International, by land, sea or air, we get it there. For more information, visit us online at www.amerijet.com or call us at KDP Enterprises at 466-9595.
Think before you bin it. There can be some use in it. The St. Kitts and Nevis Solid Waste Management, in collaboration with Taiwan ICDF Technical Mission and the Department of Environment, presents Let's Recycle. We are encouraging all residential homes, commercial businesses, and schools to bring along your plastic bottles, metal cans, and aluminum cans, ready for an opportunity to win big. From 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. every second and fourth Tuesday each month at the following locations in St. Kitts: the Connery Roundabout, every first and third Tuesday at Buckley's parking lot in front of Best Buy, and the last Saturday of each month in Deep Bay. In Nevis, every second and fourth Friday of each month at Delta Petroleum, Ex-Petrol in Camps, Big Six in Gingerland, and Old Artisan Village in Charlestown. But wait, that's not all. 1 pound equals 1 point. So bring your recyclables and build up your points for a chance to win stainless steel thermal bottle, flatware set, and much more. To learn more about the recycling project, do visit our Facebook page at Let's Recycle in St. Kitts and Nevis, or contact us at 465-2372. The choice is yours. Save it or waste it. You are the difference. Reduce, reuse, recycle.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is Win FM.
People make the world go
Buying your medication is easy with City Drug Store's curbside pickup. WhatsApp our certified pharmacist at 662-8769 with your requests. For prescriptions, take a clear photograph and send for review. We will engage you in dialogue and then provide a quotation and link for payment. You can then pay via TDC's online payment portal. And once the transaction is complete, you'll be notified that your pickup is ready. Yes, it's that easy. Send your WhatsApp message to 662-8769 to order your medications today with City Drug Store's curbside pickup service.
This holiday season, a loan from TDC Financial Services is for me and for you. Up to $85,000 for any purpose. So you know, top up for my food business, repairs on the house, and all the styles for Sugar Mass 51. And of course, sorting out my kids for back to school. Hear what my friend had to say about her experience.
Girl, I love to get my holiday loan at TDC Financial Services. It is less hassle and you get the loan fast.
So you see, TDC Financial Services is the place to get what you need this Christmas. A loan for me and a loan for you. Terms and conditions apply.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
People make the world go
that time again. TDC Insurance is offering awesome deals in its holiday extravaganza. Buying a new car? Get up to 60% off your motor insurance, free windshield cover, 0% interest free, cashback, and so much more. Buying a house? Save up to 30% on home insurance and additional discounts if you pair with your new car. It's crazy this holiday season at TDC Insurance with our TDC Insurance Holiday Extravaganza. Terms and conditions apply.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
People make the world go
Welcome back to Inside the News here on WinFM 98.9. I'm your host for today, Devon Cornelius. The phone lines are open and we will be taking your calls at 466-0989, 662-0989, or 762-0989. Seem to have lost that call. Let's take this other caller. Caller, good afternoon. You're on the air.
Well, good afternoon, Devon.
Good afternoon. How are you doing today?
Boy, I thought you abandoned me just like that. Nope. Oh, you saying, I wonder if Devon just shake off his shoes and gone.
Oh, no, no. I have to take a break.
Everybody deserves a break.
A break is good now and then, you know?
Yeah, it's good. So you can't let them stress you, you know. Because, you know, the hospital has been full after every election. Pressure going up. Kill some people. And the politicians cool, eh? Anyway, good afternoon to all the listeners at home and abroad. Happy Christmas in advance. I have two issues. I was listening to your guest doing his analysis. But Peter Wickham, Andy.
Sorry?
Where is Peter Wickham?
Where is Peter Wickham? I don't know.
You know, he likes to do the analysis. You all haven't contacted him yet?
No, I haven't heard. I haven't seen any analysis from
I
him.
wonder if he got any job to any of the parties.
I think he was commenting on the elections, but he did say that there was no actual poll or data, anything. He was just giving his general view on it.
Yeah, because nowadays he's making some miss, you know. So I suppose he reduces his miss. Anyway, now, as the gentleman said, in terms of issues, what is the main issue? It cannot be the petrol, what the thing name again? Geothermal, it cannot be geothermal. Now, I was wondering, has the NRP inquired or gotten some agreement from the Labour Party, just in case they win, that they call it subvention, right? Would be sent every month?
I don't understand.
And the matter of fair share.
Oh, okay.
You still talking about? Because that is critical, you know. It was part of the CCM campaign, as Mr. Branch said, they're setting up some group party to discuss the matter.
Do you know? Do you know the status of the group?
I think he said one person from Ministry of Finance, a lawyer, I think, and somebody else. And the federal government is supposed to put up. Is it going to be a 3-3 sider? Now, remember when they went in with Unity, they had what was called the Charleston Accord. And this new one with the Labour Party. Even though they don't call it Charleston Accord, they had, maybe the Bastille Accord. How does the NRP figure it? Because they wouldn't want to win, and next thing they can't pay salaries. Because just like how they said, just like how the PLP also said, well, oh, it wasn't in law that we send anything over there. Do you know if any discussion has begun with the Labour Party?
It appears as if you're suggesting that, okay, so as it is right now, the Labour Party is the federal government and the local government in Nevis is the CCM. Now, as it is right now, salaries are being paid. Are you suggesting that if the NRP is to get into office, that the administration and syndicates would start paying salaries?
You could never put anything past politicians.
But is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying. I am asking. The question is so different to ask.
No, well,
No, I'm asking serious.
I am telling you that is what you're suggesting, or that's what you're saying.
I'm asking because it become crucial, you know. Because remember, when NRP was in, there was no agreement as to what portion they get from the CBI. No, nothing. So what are they going into election with? Do they have any guarantees? A simple question, you know. Only they could answer. You can't answer. They could answer. What guarantee do they have that should they win the island election, that they would get the same subvention, I call it, the transfer each month, or even more, and their position in terms of their fair share? I don't make the sense you go in, and next thing we go back in the same wrangling. Now, the next thing, the dividends. Dividends are usually a percentage, right? Has any mention been made as to what percentage or the amount that the pensioners and the pensionable people would get?
I'm not certain.
Because you know dividends, right? When TDC giving dividends, they say, well, they're giving whether 10 cents on the dollar. You know what I mean? So you can say, well, those who are pensioners may get, say, 500. I'm trying to be reasonable. I know some people talking thousands. And the people who are not pensionable or pensioners, they are asked to apply online. The question some people have been asking, the source of the funds is from the sale of the passport, isn't that so?
It's coming from the CBI, yeah.
Yeah, the sale, with us a passport, the citizenship, right? It comes from the sale of a national asset. So there is some legitimacy, you know, in saying that only nationals could get, because it is a national product. It is not Social Security money that they would have contributed to. Do you ever reason that? Have you ever heard that argument?
No. Well, I have here with me a release or a statement from Social Security, but I would assume that over the next few days they would provide more clarity. It says that the inaugural payment of a CBI dividend to contributors to the Social Security Fund would include pensioners and pensionable citizens and residents of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. So if you are a citizen or a resident and you are contributing to the Social Security Fund, this statement suggests that you will receive a CBI
it suggests that it actually says so. But then the money is not coming from the Social Security. The money is coming from the CBI, which belongs to the citizens. Now, I am not saying that they shouldn't have mercy on other people, but they should have made it clear.
All right.
Because all the residents are not citizens.
All right. Well, caller, thank you for
And
your
therefore, all residents do not have claim to the CBI, because the CBI is derived from the sale of our citizenship.
All right. Well, thank you for your contribution to this program. We want to take some more calls. Call us at 466-0989, 762-0989, or 662-0989. It is Saturday, December 10, 2022. 10 minutes to the 1 o'clock hour here on Inside the News. I'm your host for today, Devon Cornelius. I have here with me a statement from the Social Security Board of St. Kitts and Nevis. It says, Prime Minister and Minister with responsibility for Social Security, Dr. Terence Drew, has announced an inaugural payment of a CBI dividend to contributors to the Social Security Fund to include pensioners and pensionable citizens and residents of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. It says the payment will be facilitated by the Social Security Board, with the first batch of payments being made by Thursday, December 15, 2022. Let me stick a pin and we'll take this call. Caller, good afternoon. You are on the air.
Yes, good afternoon. Yes, greetings once more in Jesus' name. Now, earlier I spoke and I gave some anti-biblical policies that causes unemployment to rise even more when they are implemented. And I'd just like to say, in addition to that, what government need to do to bring down unemployment as well, in addition to what I mentioned earlier, what government needs to do to bring down unemployment as well is to deregulate the economy. The more economy is deregulated, the more unemployment goes down, and the more employment rises in number when the economy is deregulated. So in other words, the more economy is going in the direction of free market capitalism with continually lowering of taxes at minimum, is the more the economy would boom, the more unemployment would go down and the more employment would go up. This is the biblical way to go. And let me give a practical example. Now, Dubai does not have any oil. Dubai does not have any natural resources. Dubai is just a flat desert. It does not even have mountains or any scenery. Dubai is just a flat desert with no natural resources, including oil coming from out the ground. But yet, Dubai is one of the most developed places. Dubai is one of the most developed places on this earth, where many go to do business and that sort of stuff, because Dubai attracts businesses, and therefore economy booms and develops. I have one of the fastest ports in the world. So it is just a flat desert with one of the fastest ports in the world. And what contributed to it? Dubai unintentionally have applied just a few biblical principles. One, they don't have any corporate income tax. Two, they do not have any personal income tax. Three, they have a duty-free report. Four, they do not have any government minimum wage laws. And this is just a few of a few biblical principles that they unintentionally have applied to the economy. And even though they are not a Christian, even though they are not a Christian country, yet these very few biblical principles that they have applied to their country are booming the country. So imagine if they had got the whole way and applied all of the biblical principles. Imagine that, because they only apply just a few and they are booming. But I would say though, that if they don't turn to Jesus Christ would in his time cancel it out and destroy them. But Jesus Christ is demonstrating to us, through them and through others, that, hey, when you apply what my word teaches, you will prosper in every way. As the Bible says, seek me and my kingdom first, and all these things shall be added unto you. So he's showing us, hey, when we apply the biblical principle of his word, we will prosper, and when we don't, we will be destroyed. And so you find that the best countries in the world are those that apply certain biblical principles, and the worst countries are those that ignore them. So this also applies to us here as well. If we want the best for us, we need to turn to what the Bible teaches, apply what the Bible teaches, and only then we will have the solutions to our problems, and it's only then we will truly prosper. And once we keep in obedience to the Bible, we will prosper permanently. I wanted to say these things because a lot of people do not know the implications of obeying the Bible as individuals, as businesses, as a country, as government, as churches, and so on. We don't know the implications of obeying it and disobeying it. And I would just like to say these things. Thank you.
All right, caller, thank you for your contribution to this program. It is 12:56, and you're listening to Inside the News here on WinFM 98.9. I'm your host for today, Devon Cornelius. Just before we took that call, there was a questions regarding the payment of a CBI dividend by the government of St. Kitts and Nevis. So, as I was saying, the payment will be facilitated through the Social Security Board, with the first batch of payments being made by Thursday, December 15. And the first group covers both Social Security and government pensioners and private and public corporations with whom Social Security have verified banking information. And so if Social Security already has your banking information, then of course you may be eligible for that payment if you fit within that category. So if it is a case where Social Security had a reason to pay you for something, instead of issuing a check, they sent the money directly to your account, then they would have your information. It says this grouping will not have to apply for the dividend, as their information have been provided by their respective employers or already verified by Social Security. Subsequent batches will be paid accordingly. Applicants may now apply for the dividend online at www.socialsecurity.kn. Note well that submission of the form must include a valid Social Security card and proof of accurate banking details. In-person registration may be completed at the Social Security offices in Bastia and Pinney's Estate, Nevis. Persons are encouraged to have a valid passport or birth certificate where a Social Security card is unavailable. And for more information, contact the Social Security Board at 465-2535 or 469-5245, or ask questions via their WhatsApp at 662-8479 or 667-2535. This is information from the Social Security Board regarding the payment of a CBI dividend, and the first payment, according to Social Security, would be made on the 15th, or by the 15th rather, and of course the payments would be made accordingly. It is now 1 o'clock here in the studios of 1FM 98.9, and you're tuned into Inside the News. I am your host for today, Devon Cornelius. There is so much that is happening. You have Nevis Island Assembly elections on Monday. Carnival in St. Kitts, Dominica concluded their elections there on December 6th, where Roosevelt Scared returned as the country's prime minister. And so there's a lot happening regionally and locally. But as it is right now, well, on St. Kitts, it's more of a Christmas feel and carnival feel. Christmas and carnival. And on Nevis, you have the local elections coming up there. both parties, or the three parties rather, have been, doing their campaigns. The two major political parties, the incumbent CCM and the opposition Nevis Reformation Party, both parties have been campaigning in terms of their public meetings and their rallies, whistle stops, all sorts of things. They have been doing house-to-house visits, reaching out to people in the diaspora. They have been connecting with their people, and so Nevisians are expected to go to the polls on Monday. Of course, this is the first time that the newly appointed supervisor of elections will be facilitating or supervising an election, Mr. Oakland Peets. And for those of you on the island of Nevis who are tuned in, let me just share some information that I think will be useful for Monday. So, the following is a statement issued by Oakland Peets, the supervisor of elections, regarding the Nevis Island Assembly elections on December 12. Now, of course, we know who the parties are. We have the Concerned Citizens Movement, whose symbol is the hammer, the Moral Restoration Movement, whose symbol is the spade, and the Nevis Reformation Party, whose symbol is the bottle. Both the CCM and the NRP will be contesting all 5 districts, and MRM will be contesting in Nevis 2 and Nevis 4 only. Thus, the following candidates have been nominated in District 1, Spencer Brand of CCM and J.D. Keynes of NRP. In District 2, Matt Brantley of CCM, Samuel Keynes of MRM, and Dr. Patricia Bartlett of the NRP. In District 3, we have Eric Evelyn of CCM and Rohan Isles of NRP. In District 5, we have Alexis Jeffers of CCM, Patricia Mills Jeffers of MRM, and Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge of the NRP. And in District 5, we have Cleone Stapleton Simmons of the NRP and Latoya Jones of the CCM. Thus, 12 candidates will be seeking election to the 10th Nevis Island Assembly. The voters list comprises 13,169 electors and has been released and is being reviewed by stakeholders as allowed under Regulations 28 and 29 of Part of the 5th Schedule of the Act. The list comprises people who were registered to vote up to and including September 2022. Now, for each district, in District number 1, you have 2,297 voters. In District number 2, there is 4,485 voters. In District number 3, there is 1,881 voters. And in District 4, that's 2,608 voters. And in District number 5, 1,898 voters. So District number 2, of course, you will see, has the most registered voters than District number 4 and then District number 1. The lists are posted in different places in each polling division of each constituency at the electoral offices in Charlestown and also online at www.sknis.com. Voters are encouraged to check these lists in advance of voting, and the information is also available at the St. Kitts and the Nevis and the St. Kitts office. And voters who need to update their national identification card are encouraged to do so at their earliest opportunity. I'm not sure if you can do that on polling day, and so perhaps Friday would have been the last time you would have been able to do such. The sites at which polling or voting will take place are in District 1, Polling Division 1, Charlestown Primary School with 2 stations, A and B. Polling Division, so we're in District 1. And there are 4 polling divisions. Division 1 is Charlestown Primary with 2 stations, A and B. Division 2, Maud Cross Preparatory School, stations A and B. Division 3, Magistrates Court. And Division 4 is the High Court building. In District 2, there are 4 polling divisions. Division 1, Albertha Payne Community Center, stations A and B. Division 2, Ivor Walters Primary School Stations A and B, and Cicely Brown Integrated School Stations C and D. Division 3, Education Building Marion Heights Stations A and B, United Pentecostal Church with Station C, Nevis International Secondary School Annex Station D, and Elizabeth Pemberton Primary School Station E. Polling Division 4 is the Church of God in Cox. In District 3, we have 5 polling divisions. So polling division number 1, New River Methodist Church. Polling division 2, Gingerland Preschool. Polling division 3, the Charles L. Walters Community Center in Hanleys Road. Polling division 4, Hard Times Building Station A, and Joycelyn Liebert Primary School Station B. Polling division 5, Gingerland Secondary School. In District 4, polling division 1, the Butlers Community Center. Polling division 2, Church of God Bricklin. Polling station 3, Franklin Brown Community Center. Polling division 4, Methodist Hall in Fountain. Polling division 5, the VOJN Primary School Stations A and B. And now in polling division 5, you have the Cotton Ground Community Center Stations A and B. Polling division 2, Jessop's Community Center Stations A and B. And polling division 3, the Nevis Performing Arts Center, NEPAC. So there are 3 polling divisions in District number 5. Details of the voters assigned to each of these 35 stations will be published in the Gazette, in the weekend newspaper, and online. Electoral workers have been appointed and have been given the necessary training. Polling day is on Monday, December 12, 2022. Divisions head to the polls to elect new representatives of the Nevis Island Assembly, who then would form the Nevis Island Administration. I was having a conversation with someone the other day regarding, elections generally in St. Kitts and Nevis. And the good thing about this upcoming election is the fact that we're actually going to have, for the first time, I could be wrong, I stand to be corrected, but I think for the first time, we're actually going to have what it is believed, let me say that, because snap elections are possible, but it is believed that we're going to have, both St. Kitts and Nevis, a 5-year break from elections, because federal elections were held in August of this year, and now local elections for Nevis are being held, now December, and so there isn't, a wide margin to say that elections are going to be held for the island of Nevis every 2 years. And so you would see a case where when we head back to the polls for after 5 years, both elections would be held in the same time frame, 2027. So that's a good thing because, over the past few years, the people of Nevis have been going to the polls quite often, every 2 years. I mean, 2013, 2015, 2017, 2020, 2022. And so you would understand why people they're fed up, they're tired, and people are just, waiting for this election to be over so that we can all go back to normal. But for the most part, Nevis has been in campaign mode almost every 2 years. And so you never really get the opportunity to, relax and wind down, because coming out of the federal elections held in August of this year, we are now at a local election on the island of Nevis here in December. And so after these elections are held, it is expected that we won't be going back to the polls until 5 years all at the same time. And so it may just have a situation where both elections are going to be months apart. Perhaps who is the premier at the time, they sit down and have a discussion with the Prime Minister and say, hey, let's have the elections at the same time. Whether I have my elections this week and you have yours next week, let's get the campaign going together and all of it out of the way. We have some callers on the line, so let's head back to the phone lines and we'll take this call. Caller, you are on the air. Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon again, Devon.
Yes, good afternoon.
I found your discourse just now very interesting. Now, when you have 3 persons in Nevis running over 5 districts, and then you are to run 5 districts at the same time, to me it creates maybe a burden on some of those who have to run over 2. See what I mean? Because you have 5 electoral districts for the local and then 3 for the federal. So it will be a kind of very difficult to have both at the same time. I don't know if you see it so. Now the way around it, because we're talking about electoral boundaries, the St. Kitts one have to be adjusted. Not if or maybe. You have constituency 8, I think 2, and maybe 1. Those are the large ones, right? All you have to do is introduce maybe 2 more. If you change use, because remember Nevis must have 1/3, Nevis will have a chance to go to 5. And in that case, it will be easier. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. I'm following.
Because, I think it's St. James and St. Thomas. One of them, for the federal, is 1 person. Nevis better than I do.
Nevis 11 is St. James and St. Thomas, and Nevis 9 is St. Paul and St. John.
Right, so that you'd have a chance to break them up. And the one that Mark Brantley is in, that is thing. So I would suggest that all the parties and the government and the aging now start to get serious about electoral boundaries, because everybody keeping the boundary, they think they will win it. And gerrymandering after that. So I think when we start to say we want all at the same time, it will be very inconvenient to have both elections in Nevis at the same time, when Nevisians have to be voting for 5 persons and 3 persons at the same time. You see what I'm saying?
I'm following. Mm-hmm.
Have you ever considered it?
Mm-hmm. No.
And all they have to do, Labour went in August. So if they're going to have it, you have August. They could even go before, because there's nothing so you can't go before. Nowadays, you could go tomorrow. Right, that's a joke. But all they have to do, call days earlier, the federal, so that Nevis can have the local the same year, but with a different span, something like what we have now.
Well, that is also what I am suggesting. So not necessarily a case where we have National Assembly elections and Nevis Island Assembly elections on the same day. But you have the federal elections. You have, let's say you have it a month in advance, and then you have the local elections.
I want it to close, man.
Right? So basically they happen in the same year, and we all get to break at the same time.
But you don't think electoral boundaries is better? Changing them is better?
Well, that's a conversation that needs to be had, and something that they need to.
Well, we're having that all the time, you know what I mean? When you're not gerrymandering, it's not moving. Now, let me say something to Greg. Greg spoke about the government intervention and reducing employment. If Greg would look at the history, if they were to put all that he asked in place, he would only be, you could even have full employment with the majority living below the subsistence level that existed, when the industrial revolution started. People were working, everybody was working, and they couldn't even feed themselves. So if it is left up to the capitalists that he likes, they would pay the minimum. That is why you find so many governments have to have all of these social programs, because who making the money and the surplus, keeping it for themselves. You hear them they owning billions, and their workers living hand to mouth. You hear this Amazon? I mean, if you hear Amazon reeling it in, you listen to the shares and so. And the workers can't even breathe. And in the States, people got to work three jobs to get one lunch. So you got to think about what he says. It was never God's intention for people to live like that. And the greed. So while he promoted it, of course you could have full employment tomorrow morning. All right, then somebody come to me.
All right, well, caller, thank you so much for your contribution to this program. It is 16 minutes past the 1 o'clock hour here in the studios of 1FM 98.9, and you're listening to Inside the News. I'm your host for today, Devon Cornelius. Thank you so much for joining the conversation. But the matter of elections and changing boundaries, yes, it's a conversation that we've been having for quite some time. So it's now time for action. Let's head back to the phone lines. We'll take this call.
It is 16 minutes past.
Caller, good afternoon. You're on the air.
Yes, good day. Because I would like to say that when taxes are reduced, the more taxes are reduced, is the cheaper things get. The more competition you have. And the cheaper people could bring in the stuff from overseas. The cheaper you could import stuff from overseas. That has always, when countries implement that has always rebounded to the upliftment of the poor because things get cheaper. You could bring in things cheaper, more businesses come on the scene, they carry down the price because of competition. No country has done that has never experienced those benefits. And so in those conditions, the poor always get uplifted because there is a saying, a wave lifts all boats. So when you have that biblical wave going through your economy, it will lift all boats. And we have seen it in experience, and that is the part that we didn't get, the minimizing, the continual minimizing of taxes to make sure that the poor are able to climb up the ladder as well because things are so cheap for everybody. That is not the case what is happening in America right now. America is overloaded with tax, government regulation, and that sort of stuff. And that always, in the end, kills the poor. So we need to understand what the saying context. But another thing that I should have said is that government also, biblically speaking, need to privatize the overwhelming majority that it controls, running, and directing. And I'm speaking about that biblically, where things that government are not to be involved in, biblically speaking, they are to privatize those things. That also goes a long way in helping the economy and helping the poor and bringing down the cost of living, which increases the standard of living for everybody, including the poorest among us. These are the benefits in doing things the biblical way, going the Bible way, to the glory of Jesus. Thank you very much.
All right, caller, thank you so much for your contribution. Let's take this short break to give a shout out to our sponsors. And when we come back, we will continue Inside the News here on 1FM 98.9. Let's hit this break and I'll be right back.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
People make the world go.
Buying your medication is easy with City Drug Stores Curbside Pickup. WhatsApp our certified pharmacist at 662-8769 with your requests. For prescriptions, take a clear photograph and send for review. We will engage you in dialogue and then provide a quotation and link for payment. You can then pay via TDC's online payment portal. And once the transaction is complete, you'll be notified that your pickup is ready. Yes, it's that easy. Send your WhatsApp message to 662-8769 to order your medications today with City Drug Stores Curbside Pickup Service.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
People make the world go
Welcome back to Inside the News here on WinFM 98.9. I'm your host for today, Devon Cornelius. Thank you so much for joining the conversation. We soon end the program. Is 1:23. For those of you who are just tuning in, we had earlier in the studio Glendale Herbert of the Nevis Community Foundation, and Mr. Herbert also used the opportunity to give his take on some deciding factors, or some factors that some things that would impact the outcome of the local elections in Nevis on Monday, December 12. Some things that one should consider, one should look at with the results, with the elections on Monday, that is. Some questions were asked as it relates to the CBI dividend. I'm telling you, I don't know much about this. Much information hasn't really been released, except to say that Social Security has already collected, or already has on hand, information for people who are set to benefit from the payments. But I would assume that over the next few days, they will be providing more information. So as it is right now, the only thing that I can tell you is what I have told you before, that they are seeking to do the first set of payments by Thursday, December 15, and that they already have some information on file. And if you are interested in applying for the dividend, you would have to do so online at www.socialsecurity.kn. In terms of who exactly would qualify and define details, they would be releasing that information, I assume, over the next few days. But in the statement, it did say that people who contribute to the Social Security Fund, both citizens and residents, and so I think that perhaps, in a sense, answers the question of who qualifies. If you're a citizen and you're a resident, or a resident rather, and you are contributing to the fund, you would receive. I don't know what the range of payments would be officially. I don't know what they are. And I don't know what criteria they are going to look at, what criteria they are going to use to determine who exactly gets, whether it be $1,000 or $500 or whatever amount. And so that information would be forthcoming. We have a caller on the line. Let's head back to the phone lines. Caller, good afternoon. You're on the air.
Yeah, Devon, I'd like to ask you a question. This applying online for the dividend, that goes for everybody? Everybody have to apply online to get the dividend?
No, it does not. According to the statement from Social Security, it is only for people whose information Social Security doesn't have. So they're going to make the first payment by Thursday the 15th, and the first group covers Social Security and government pensioners. So they already have that information. And private and public corporations with whom Social Security have verified banking information. So if there is a reason for Social Security to pay you via your bank account, then I don't think you would have to apply again, because they already have the information, and so they would know whether you qualify. But to be on the safe side, I would encourage you to contact them to get the actual information. But the application is there at www.socialsecurity.kn.
Oh, another thing. I would like to ask a question to people like Mr. Henry and so. If you feel that cutting taxes would not benefit the poor, tell me, do you believe if we have a duty-free report that will not benefit the poor? And not only that, when we had finished away with the personal income tax, the standard of living did increase a lot, and you had a lot of small businesses and that sort of stuff coming on the scene when we had finished away with personal income tax. So we here in St. Kitts have a history that the cutting, for example, of the finish away with personal income tax did raise the standard of living for many of the poor people, and did expand the middle class, with poor people going up into the middle class, and even some going up into the upper class when we had finished with the personal income tax. So I would like Ms. Henry or others who feel like that cutting taxes and doing these biblical things, if they believe that these things would not benefit the poor, if they believe that having a duty report and so on and will not benefit the poor, and if they believe that the personal income tax, when we got to it, if that did not benefit the poor as well. I'll let them to answer those questions. Thank you.
All right, caller, thank you so much for your contribution to this program. It's 11:29, and we end this program at 1:30. Again, let me say thank you so much for your contribution to this program. For those of you who are just joining, questions concerning the CBI dividend, as I say, set you into your local radio station as well as Social Security, their social media pages. They would provide more information as to the criteria, what exactly benefits, and all of the questions that you may have. Reach out to them, give them a call, send them a WhatsApp, and they would be able to answer your question in detail. Let me just repeat the numbers. WhatsApp is 662-8479 or 667-2535. This has been another edition of Inside the News here on WinFM 98.9 for Saturday, December 10, 2022. Until next time, you guys stay safe. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. It's going to be a calm weekend. Well, not really a calm weekend in St. Kitts because Carnival is happening. But Nevis and divisions head to the polls on Monday, December 12th, to elect a new administration there. Until next time, you guys stay safe. Have a good one.
You found the sound.